Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So, yet again, we are here at another monthly Q&A, and this will be the month of October. So, first off, happy Halloween to everyone, and secondly, we got many questions to get into, so it's time for me to answer your questions that you asked me. So, let's go ahead and get started. Bonebreak Lightsaber Crafter asked, I tried to find a comment I stated a while ago that I really wanted your opinion on, but it disappeared, so I'll place it here for the next Q&A. I'm really sorry that it disappeared. That's very strange. I have seen some instances where some comments have disappeared. So I guess that might be YouTube, I don't know, getting rid of them. I know they do that with certain links, so I want to apologize that that disappeared because I had no idea of that. So that's really strange. So I apologize. I am very sorry that I missed that first off, and I'm sorry that it actually may have disappeared. So I apologize. At the end of Volume 3, before Cinder kills Pyrrha, Pyrrha asks her if she believes in destiny. When it comes back to Cinder, she says yes, with little tears in her eyes. Go rewatch that scene for those who are skeptical. What do you think that says about Cinder's character, her beliefs, and past? Although it's kind of moot considering Cinder's last line in Volume 6, but still very interesting. So, I did make a video a long time ago. I may try to redo it to make it better in the future, but I never really thought that Cinder was as bad as people make her out to be. I mean, I know that a lot of people hate Cinder over what happened with Pyrrha and her killing Pyrrha. I mean, I understand that. So, I'm not sitting over here saying, yes, you have to like Cinder or anything just because I like her character, which I do. I like Cinder personally, but that's a personal opinion. But I've never really thought Cinder was a bad guy. If you think about her speech that she gives to Beacon whenever she hacks into the system, if you think about that after Penny's death, she does state that she doesn't know which side is right or wrong. So, while she is fighting alongside Salem, she doesn't believe that Salem is necessarily right either. While at the same time, she doesn't exactly believe that Ozpin is right at the same time. So, she's a character that I think was meant to be more complicated than she is, rather than just seeming like one that was meant to have just an ambition for power because it seemed like they were really building Cinder up for more. But then again, as I've stated previously, and I'm gonna say it again, Miles and Carrie don't know their characters they write for. They don't understand them at all. And I think that with Cinder, they don't understand her character. And it seemed like in the grand scheme of things, from what Monty had planned, there was more that he was going to do with Cinder. It seemed like, but it just seems like they threw all that out the window. I mean, especially if you go back to Volume 3. Volume 3, yeah, Cinder was mad at Ruby, and that's understandable, but at the same time, you know, if you think about it, it did seem like she was starting to have character development during the scene when Tyrion's attacking a Grimm, and it seems like that is just a very terrifying moment for Cinder. And then, of course, you get Volume 5, and then she's just revenge bound, and that's really what Cinder's character becomes from that point on. But Volume 6 then starts to slowly transition Cinder to who she once was, but then, of course, they bring back the whole revenge scheme, and then it's like they don't understand Cinder at all, especially from how she was starting to be written in the past. And, it seemed like Cinder actually did care for the people. It's like I said, I think that Cinder was trying to expose Ozpin for the person that he really was, and then, of course, they retcon the whole Ozpin being the bad guy situation and just really make him out to be, I guess, a bad husband. Oh man, that was such a terrible backstory. I mean, if you like it, you like it, but I do not like that backstory between Ozpin and Salem at all, and it just destroyed what they were building up with Ozpin being the potential bad guy, which would have been so much better. But you know, of course, leave it to Ruby Retcons to dismantle a great story from being great and live up to its full potential, and then start to make it all come crashing down. But yeah, I think Cinder had other motives. I think that she had reasons for wanting the power she wanted rather than just seeming like a power hungry individual. But it goes back to what I stated. I don't think that Miles and Carrie understand the characters that they're writing for, and revenge seems to be a lot of the villains' whole take on why they're doing everything. I mean, Hazel. I mean, Neo's makes sense, Of course, Cinder now, Salem. I mean, everybody just seems like they're based off revenge. It just seems like it's the only motive that exists for the antagonist of RWBY. Like I said, I'll make a whole entire video on all that again and my thoughts. Go further into that. But yeah, very good question. And yes, I did notice that, by the way, in the animation. It was something that always stood out to me. And if the speech of Cinder didn't stand out to anyone before, then that scene, if you look very closely at it, then yes, the tears in her eyes before she kills Pyrrha should tell you something at least. At least at that time, you would think so. But yeah, very good notice and very good question. Thank you very much for asking. So, next question. Christopher Capers Jones asks, what are your thoughts on irredeemable villains, and what characteristics of such characters would make you love or hate them? Well, that's a good question. So, I don't hate irredeemable villain characters. I'm a weird person in these regards because I typically tend to like villain characters. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that I do like the maniacal things that they do, because villain characters, the one thing that has always made me interested in them, I mean, Star Wars before Disney took over, my dear God. But Star Wars, Palpatine was one of my all-time favorite characters. I mean, even now he still is. I mean, I really always enjoyed Palpatine and how smart and witty he was. I mean, he had that deceitful nature back in the prequels. If you look at it, he tried to act like he was the good guy, and he made everybody believe that, he wasn't the Sith Lord, right? And he got away with it for a long time up until Execute Order 66 and all of that, and Mace Windu going after him and everything, whenever they found it out, and Anakin exposed him for it. But, that's the thing. That was really well done. And, I like the evil that Palpatine had, but I also like his whole idea. Now, I mean, of course, if you go with the old legends, he was taking out the Jedi because of the Wuzhong Vong, which, in his own ideology, he was doing it for the better of the people, which is kind of funny. But, I did like Palpatine. I really enjoyed his character. And even though he was irredeemable, he was enjoyable to watch, and his characteristics were just excellent. I think that he was crafted well as an antagonist, and I have to say that I think George Lucas really did do well with Palpatine. So we got to give Lucas props for that, for certain. At least I do. I respect George Lucas a lot, even though he may not be perfect. Nobody is, but he still did a good job. Now, characters that I don't like. I'll give you an example. I don't like Sasuke Uchiha. And, he was an antagonist in Naruto for a long time. Of course, yeah, he got redeemed. But, looking at how it seemed like he would be irredeemable, I didn't like his character. And I don't like how his character was crafted. But more on terms of characters that were never redeemable. That were always irredeemable. I don't like seeing villain characters just be completely one-dimensional. I mean, okay, yeah, so the character's a villain. Okay. But if they have a characteristic, like say they're just built upon hate and it's not performed well, they don't have anything going for their character, they're not interesting, and like I said, they are just very one-dimensional as characters. They don't really give you more than what you see. You just see like, oh, well, I plan to rule the world. Okay, well, that's great. Then they have no qualities to the character. They don't have like some kind of little quirks to them. They don't have some kind of stand out like personality. If they don't have those type of things, then I don't care for them. It's like what they're doing with Cinder now in RWBY. The way that she's just power, 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 and it just doesn't seem like there's anything else. Or revenge, it's power, revenge. And it just doesn't seem like she has any other characteristics. I don't care for that. That's the one thing that I just hate that Miles and Carrie have done, is they have taken her character and they've just made her so one-dimensional. They just make her seem like she doesn't have an overall plan, and she just kind of goes with whatever. In fact, they don't even treat her with the respect that she deserves, considering that she does deserve the respect for planning out how to take down Beacon. That was all her plan, but it just seemed like the credit goes to Salem at this point, and it just falls apart. So nowadays, the way they write Cinder is just as if she is, like I said, all about power and revenge, and it's just one-dimensional. There's no other layers to her personality, no other hobbies to her, nothing that makes her stand out otherwise as a character, and I don't like that. I don't like that they've done that to her, as opposed to volumes 1 through 3, where she was so different. She was actually clever. She was cunning. and I really did enjoy that. I enjoyed the scheming side of Cinder. I did like that, and the deceit that she threw out there. I mean, she was a smart character. She really was. And now they make her as if she's stupid, and I don't like that. So that would be an irredeeming quality, in my opinion, that I just can't stand. So moving on to the next question from Bullet. Bullet asks, I'm assuming by the time you're answering this question, the first episode would have already been shown by now from New York Comic Con. My question is, did you like what was shown, and is there something you would appreciate to see in Volume 7? Well, I was actually disappointed, to tell you the truth. I was very disappointed with the Volume 7 trailer because it just felt like more of the same. It didn't really feel like anything different. And then, of course, with the whole animation issue, and you have the quality dropping, you have just the budget seem like it's gone down because, Rooster Teeth's in a financial rut. They're not in a good place right now. And, you know, I'd like to be excited, but I'm more or less disappointed, if anything. But, maybe I'll be wrong and maybe the volume will be good, but, right now I'm very disappointed, honestly, with what we did see. If there's one thing I'd like to see in Volume 7, though, I would have to say the one thing that I would appreciate to see is I would love to see the antagonist pull out a win. I would like to see the antagonists beat the heroes this time, and I'd like the heroes actually to see some consequences for their actions. Because they really haven't gotten that, especially after the whole Cordovan issue and all that happened in Volume 6. I mean, I want something that the heroes can learn from, that they are not always going to win, that they're not perfect, and that, they can't always just, oh, look, I have a plan and I win no matter what. I don't want to see that. I want to see some failure so that the heroes can grow and learn. That's something I would really like to see, and I'd like to see the antagonists develop as characters. I would love to see more of that. I would love to see a Neo backstory. I'd love to see a Cinder backstory. I would like to see a Tyrion backstory and a Watts backstory, especially seeing that they're really hyping up the villains. At least that's what they did with Volume 6. They seem to really bring them up. I would like to see some good things come out of the RWBY antagonist this time. So, if anything, I guess a win for the antagonist and more development with the antagonist characters. And where the heroes feel like they have to, grow as characters. Where failure, they have to learn from it. That's what I'd really like to see, a consequence to the hero's actions also. So, yeah, very good questions. Very good. Thank you very much. So, next question. Bertie Sanders asks, are you currently writing a story? It's funny you asked that. So what I am preparing right now is I am preparing a dojin that I started back when I was 15 years old. So that was a long time ago. And of course, I'm an artist. That's my profession. So I do art for a living. So my whole plan is to actually reboot the dojin because, when I was 15, I was still young. I was still learning about writing. And, I had a lot of fun doing it. I did it for several years. But, I don't feel like it was the best that it could have been. And so I'm wanting to reboot it and go from there. So, yes, actually, I'm planning on that. As a matter of fact, when I have my free time, sometimes I actually have been making designs out for the characters. So, there's that as well. And so I want to do that also because my writing has gotten a lot better over the years, especially since I was 15. That was such a long time ago. So, I've watched many movies. I have read many books. I have read tons of manga, watched tons of anime. So, when it comes to writing, there's a lot of things I've learned over the years. And I really want to put that into the reboot a lot better. I'm not one for really being a fan of reboots, but I want to do the best on the dojin I had written before, and I actually want to completely change it for the better. So rebooting it, I think, would be the best idea because I love the initial idea. It's just, I've found improvements where the flaws were, and I've revised it in a lot of ways. So yeah, there's a little bit of something I'm writing. But there's a greater plan in the future for other things that I do want to do, and maybe I'll inform everyone of that plan one of these days, but as of right now, I'm going to keep that project a secret. But the Dojin itself, though, I do plan on starting it in 2020. So I plan on writing it and doing more then. So that'll be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to draw it out. That's the best part is coming up with the ideas and everything. The story's awesome, but I love to draw it out, and my art's gotten so much better since then too. So I can't wait. But yeah, very good question. Thank you very much for asking. So also moving on to the next question. Ian Kreider asks, I've been meaning to ask this for a while, but do you believe that Sony's recent censorship policies exist and that they have affected PS4 games like Mortal Kombat 11, Devil May Cry 5, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Grand Blue Fantasy? Oh yeah, no, it's definitely affected it. I don't like any of the censorship changes. I mean, they're doing worse than Nintendo did when Nintendo was censoring things. I mean, Nintendo censored things, yeah, but it wasn't half as bad as what Sony's doing now with PlayStation games. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, even the Senran Kagura game that came out for the PS4, they censored it, and Nintendo didn't even censor it, neither did PC. And that's Nintendo. That's saying a lot there. That because you think about Nintendo. Nintendo censored things for a while, but even when they did, it wasn't even this bad. So Sony, they've really gone downhill. And then, of course, not only is their censorship policy terrible, which I hate their censorship policy. Then again, I don't think censorship should happen for games at all, but that's a personal opinion. But, their whole policy of thinking that they're going to change climate with the PS5. Like, why? It's supposed to be an entertainment console. Who cares? Like, that's so dumb. But yeah, I think the censorship is stupid. I don't think there's any reason for it. And yes, it's very badly affecting games, and it doesn't need to happen. It just doesn't. But that's a personal opinion. So Grace Kim 1 asks, I'm planning to cover Adam's backstory in my story. Any advice to expand what we got from his arena amenity card and his eye reveal thing in the show? So I'm still writing an Adam rewrite, so everybody's probably wondering where that's been. I have been working very hard on that, so eventually I will get that out. But I want to make that the best rewrite I can. So I've been working a lot on that. And here's what you can do. And this is to anybody out there. When it comes down to it, trying to make a backstory for Adam, you could expand upon his backstory by basically showing off how, okay, so for example, Adam with his amenity square card, now I do know of that, about how he was a miner in the dust mines and that he wanted to be more than that. Okay, so that's enough of an ambition to say that he had a goal that he knew he could be more than what he was, meaning that he felt that he was at the lowest of the low. And anybody that feels like they're at the lowest of the low, I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to do their best to try to rise to the top. And so that's what Adam believed in. He had hope. And of course, being a miner, having a horrible life, he saw terrible things of others being treated awful. And you could already go on to imagine that looking at his eye, Adam was probably branded because he rebelled against the humans. That could be one reason. And so they branded him for, just jumping out of line and trying to oppose them. That could be something which could fuel more of his hatred towards humanity to want to join the White Fang and try to, well, lead them. And then also with leading them, this could give him more resolve to think that, hey, we need to bring the humans down a peg and show them that we're better or superior. That could have been something. And, you got to think about his past life. Okay, so look at Lion Eyes. Lion Eyes did say that he tried to survive on what scraps that he could. And he believed that he could be a hero of justice, meaning he had a sense of justice. He had a sense of a belief that what he was fighting for was right. So he believed in what he was fighting for, like a revolutionist would. And if you think back to the Faunus Rights Revolution, something I think that a lot of people forget about. What did the Faunus fight for? They fought for respect. They fought to be treated equally. And that's probably what Adam may have believed in, was to also be treated equally. He probably lived a life to where he was, subjugated. And he probably lived a life that, if he was trying to just feast and survive off what scraps that he could, he probably lived a very poor life, which is a sad thing to look at. So that means that he probably also had to fight for survival. and with humanity, which I would say he had to. I mean, he probably fought to escape from the Schnee dust mine. I mean, for all we know, he probably did. I mean, that's the only problem with them not giving us a backstory at all. So I would say look at the song Lionized. Look at the idea of the brand. Think of what his ambitions could be. Because, if he's against humanity so badly and he feels that there's justice here, then, they did something to him. And possibly to other people that he cared about, other Faunus that he cared about. So, he could have even been betrayed by a human for all we know, and that's how he could have been in the mines. Like I said, there's so many questions there that just aren't resolved. So many plot points that need to be resolved concerning Adam. And that's something to think about, something to look into. So, I would say think about the Amity Square card, also about him having hopes and dreams of becoming someone more than he is. That's another thing to think about. Faunus Rights Revolution, study into that. I actually made a full video onto that. And, I would say that because of the way he was treated, I mean, this gives him multiple motives as to why he wanted to join the White Fang, why he had the sense of justice and wanted to be a hero to fight for the Faunus. So that's what I would say go for in writing a backstory for Adam. I hope that helps. So, I hope that was good enough. If you feel like there's more that I need to explain, then I will definitely go into it. But, future reference, I will make an Adam rewrite and I will make a backstory for him because we all know he needs one. So, good question. Thank you very much for asking. So, next question is from Inigo. The thing about pure evil villains is that they need a good dynamic with the protagonist and they cannot be half-assed. Very true. I agree. You can't give them a reliable reason to do what they do. You can't give them a tragic backstory that explains everything. Their backstory should be unknown or irrelevant, and that their motivations deeply personal. I agree. The good thing about them is that because they are immune to character growth, there's nothing stopping the writers from having fun with their villainy. And that's true. If you have fun with a character, go with it. Blue hair, did it look good? Just curious. So that has to do with something I brought up in the last Q&A. Yes, when they dyed their hair blue, like when they bleached it blue, dyed, they bleached it, but when they bleached it blue, it looked actually pretty natural. It was like a deep shade of blue. So if you're a Fire Emblem fan, like think about Lucina's hair of blue, like that shade. That's what it looked like, and it looked really good actually. So yeah, I actually thought it looked pretty good. For the next Q&A, what are your thoughts on Amnesia as a plot device? I think if Amnesia is done well, I think it's good. One example that I can give you, if you've ever read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I definitely recommend you should. So, people know Hiro Mashima for Fairy Tail. Well, if you go back to Rave, a plot point was actually Ellie's amnesia. And, how she was trying to figure out who she was as a character. I think that the way that he did Amnesia as a plot point was excellent, especially the twist, because there is a big plot twist. Now, it wasn't as big of a surprise to me because I figured it out about halfway through what the plot twist was, but some people didn't, and it shocked some people. But I think it's one of the best plot twists I've ever seen in a long time. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan could learn from that, considering he's like, 3 good movies and all the rest were terrible. But yeah, I thought the plot twist was good. But yes, Amnesia can be a very good plot device if done well, especially if you don't give away what you're trying to present with Amnesia, because Amnesia can, build up a lot of things for a story. And if it's done right, if the hints are done well, but they still leave the mystery to what you're trying to put in there with Amnesia, if you're trying to put a mystery in there, it can be done really well. But that's if you do it well. So if it's written terribly, then yeah, it ain't gonna go over well, Chief. But yeah, good question. So moving on to the next question. Grace Kim 1 asks, are you excited for Volume 7? How do you think Salem will be stopped? What anime do you watch? Okay, so when it comes to Volume 7, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed with the trailer. I mean, yeah, I'm ready to see it, but at the same time, excitement wouldn't be the word I would exactly use. I mean, Volumes 1 through 3, extremely excited for. Volume 4, I was excited for, and then of course it came out, and then it wasn't as good as I'd hoped. And that's like after Volume 4, just the excitement, I guess, kind of slowly dwindled because the writing just kept getting worse and worse going forward from there. And yeah, it really just kind of, if anything, disappointed me. So I more or less am cautious, I guess is the way to look at it, rather than I am excited, but that's a personal opinion. Just because I feel that way doesn't mean I'm encouraging anybody else to feel that way. I'm just saying I'm more so cautious than anything about this volume, but that's a personal opinion. How do I think Salem will be stopped? Well, I think it's going to come down to Silver Eye powers. I think they're either going to do that or Salem is going to Osmond and Salem, they're probably going to make some kind of big thing about that, about how Osmond will be like, oh no, I was wrong, and she'll be like, oh no, I was wrong. Some kind of weird way of doing it, one that I probably wouldn't care all that much for. And then, of course, with her losing her immortality, she can then die in peace. I feel like they may try to do something like that. Or, they'll do something dark and by characters possibly dying, and then that has to show Salem, hey, look, this is why it's important to care about the lives around you. Then that'll maybe make her realize that what she done was wrong. But those are just some thoughts on the top of my head of the direction they may try to go with it. So, but yeah. What anime do you watch? Whew. Now, is that an interesting story? I watch tons. I really watch what I can when I can because I do get very busy, but I try to watch really anything, whether it's good or bad. I just watch anime because I really do love anime. Always have. And, I've watched a lot of good things and I've watched a lot of very terrible anime. So, when I recommend something, I recommend it because I know it's good, as opposed to, oh, I'll just recommend anything. Unless you just want me to say, hey, what's something really terrible to recommend? And then I'd be like, okay, well, I'll give you something. But I really just kind of watch anything. I mean, I'll watch slice of life, I'll watch action, I'll watch romance, I'll watch just really anything. I mean, and that's just how I've always been. I've just always watched any kind of anime. And like I said, I've watched good and bad, so I've watched both spectrums. But a lot of it is shonen because shonen's usually a lot of the bigger stuff. But I do like to watch stuff that get adapted from light novels, and some of that can be really spicy stuff sometimes. But High School DxD being like one of the big ones. But I love that series. But I just pretty much watch anything really. I mean, and like I said, I watch the good and the bad, so it's not just the good stuff I watch. I watch anything. I watch mainstream. I watch stuff that's not mainstream. So I really just go all around the board really with it. But that's just me. Survive My Scars asked, I don't know if anyone asked this question yet, but do you watch or read One Piece? If so, what do you think about it or any other anime? Well, yeah. When it comes to anime, yeah, like I said, I pretty much just watch anything really, whether it be good or bad. But when it comes to reading, yes, I read manga a lot. One Piece is a series I do read. My favorite character from One Piece is Nico Robin. I've always enjoyed her character. I've always really felt like I could relate to her too. I don't know. She's a great character. I really like Zoro also. He's fantastic. And I really do like Sanji. It's kind of funny. I do think it's funny though that the manga still keeps Zolo, which was the One Piece, 4Kids dub name change because they were worried about copyright, which is kind of hilarious that they still keep his name as Zolo instead of Zoro in the English dub manga. I find that to be kind of funny. It's so that they will avoid copyrights of Zoro, the franchise. But that's still kind of funny to me that they still do that. But yeah, no, I do read One Piece. It is a good series for certain. Definitely a series I would recommend to people. And, I'd recommend the series. I really enjoy One Piece. Just read the manga. You'll get through it a lot faster than you would the anime, especially with the recycled animation that's used a lot by Toei. It gets so old so fast when they recycle animation. I don't like it. But, personal opinion. Personal opinion. But yeah, very good question. Thank you for asking. The next question is by the Floof Artist. Hey Floof, how you doing, bud? Hope you're doing well. And I hope you're having a great Halloween today. If you were stuck with only one magic type, fire, water, earth, air, support, debuff, dark and light, which type would you pick and why? Okay, I would have to definitely pick fire, but, that's just me. I guess it also kind of goes with my passionate personality because, for one, I'm stubborn. I'm very stubborn, and I can be very passionate about things, and it's like a thermal fire. When I'm passionate about something, I don't quit. I keep going and doing my best. That's just how I've always been. But, I've always liked fire. I always used to play with it. When I was a teenager, I was a pyromaniac. No, I'm not kidding. I used to play with fire all the time. When I would go to my grandmother's to visit her, she used to live 30 minutes outside of the city that I lived in. She lived in a country town, and they allowed bonfires. And my friends and I had a clever idea. I think you can see where I'm going by calling this clever. Of taking some gasoline and throwing it in the fire. So, yeah, we did that. And I'm just going to tell you, we chucked it and we ran. Oh, man, that fire lit up. And so, not long after that happened, the police came. And they were wondering what was going on. And so, because the police came by, after that day, I am not kidding, to this very day, that little country town does not allow bonfires anymore after that incident. Now, nobody got hurt. Nothing bad really happened other than just a lot of fire. Nothing got burned down or anything. But, fortunately, it just stayed within the bonfire, of course. But it was not the smartest move. But, hey, a bunch of dumb teenagers, doing a bunch of stupid stuff. But, yeah, you can imagine. So, to this very day, because of us, that small town doesn't have fires anymore. Like, doesn't have bonfires. Yeah. That's oh man, I'll never forget that. Hilarious time though. But it was a lot of fun. But it was, oh man, you want to talk about also being afraid. But anyways, so Floof continues to ask. Also, if you had to choose Dragon Girls, Fox Girls, or Demon Girls. So I play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh from time to time. Here's the thing. I'm getting ready to play Dragon Maids when they come out. So I'll have that, but Demon Girls aren't bad, but I think I have to ultimately go down to saying Fox Girls because I don't know. I think that out of the three options, I find that to be the best one. Then again, the cute ears, cute Fox Girl ears. That's cute. It's cute. It's adorable. And just the expressions they can make with them, it's adorable. And the tail, it's cute. But yeah. And then Floof goes on to say, I asked because I was busy and missed asking. Hey, no problem. Anytime you ask for the Q&A, I'll try to do my best to get to it and, answer it at, Q&A. And if I ever miss any questions, just let me know. Address that I missed one, and I assure you that I will get to it as soon as I can. So, just let me know. So then Floof goes on to say, thank you. Lastly, if you were going to create your own show on a 12-episode budget, what kind of show would it be? And would it be in 2D or 3D? So I'd probably go with 2D, but, I do like 3D animations, but I would have to probably go with 2D. Now, I understand that would take a lot to do, but, if I did a 12-episode budget also for the show, I would probably make it an action kind of genre, because I do like action a lot, and I would really center it around a lot of that. So that's what I would say if I did. I would make it very interesting. I'd make it fun, and try to put some kind of sense of humor into it as well. So yeah, I would definitely make it like an action comedy, things of that sort. I mean, that's what I'd have to say if I were to do that. So that's what I would do. But that's just me. Everybody does their own thing. But yeah, that's what I do. But yeah, great questions, man. Thank you for asking. So, moving on to the next question. Elizabeth McAden asks, have you tried out Gogeta in Fighter Jet? I have not. I haven't even had the time to play very many games. But yeah, no, I haven't. And then Elizabeth McAden continues to ask, do you think that Ruby will be captured at the end of Volume 7? I think that if anything, Ruby will survive and not be captured. I mean, obviously she'll survive, but I don't think she'll be captured. I think that they'll probably think that she's dead. But no, I don't think that she would be captured just because I don't think Cinder would want that to happen. I think that Cinder would just want to see her dead. Even though, despite the fact that, Salem wants her alive, she could use Neo as the excuse of why she would believe that Ruby died. So I think that could be, I think that would be it. If I had to say, I don't think that she would ever get captured. So next one is Luke Skywalker II, and he asks, "Hey Draco, here are my questions for the next Q&A. What are your thoughts on the Berserk manga? Fantastic, beautiful art. Absolutely love the series, but I will tell you, it gets really dark really fast. But then again, it's Berserk. It's what it's known for. And Guts is simply an amazing character. I really enjoy Guts. So, moving on to the next part of the question. Have you ever read any of the poetry of William Blake? Yes. If so, then what is your favorite poem from him? I'm really fond of one of his most iconic poems, The Little Boy Lost. It's really short, simple, and yet quite deep. Yes, that is actually my favorite as well. I also like Burning Bright. That is another one that I actually like that he did. So, yeah, but yes, I have read his poetry. Little Boy Lost is my favorite, and Burning Bright is another one of my favorites. Have you ever read the Happiness manga by Shuzo Oshimi? Yes, I have. It should instead be called Depression. Yes, it is really dark, but really good. So, next question. Do you think that if Light Yagami from Death Note, from the manga or even the anime, mind you, and not the awful Western live action adaptation, well, yeah, that was terrible, was a villain in the Ruby universe or an antagonist at any rate, do you think that he would practically wreck every other villain in Ruby and put Ozpin and Salem's petty conflict to an end by outthinking them both and kill them? Haha. Well, Salem wouldn't die because, she's immortal. I would say he probably wouldn't be able to get Cinder right away since, Cinder's alias was Cinder Fall, so we don't exactly know what her last name really is, so he wouldn't be able to get Cinder. And unless he can get the names of everybody, he wouldn't be able to win. But I think there would be some characters he would be able to outsmart and he would be able to kill. But I think Cinder would be one of them that would actually be able to get away. But that's just because her alias is fake, and not knowing her history would also be a bit of a problem. But with the research he's done in the series, he might be able to find out. But it's still one of those battles that it would be a battle of the minds. If there was a type of Grim you could make, what would you call it and what could it do? Okay, so I've talked about this before. I would create a T-Rex Grim that could shoot out eggs, and those eggs, if they splatted, they would turn into like little raptors. And this Grim would be so powerful that it depletes aura the closer you are to it. So fighting this Tyrannosaurus Grim would be dangerous in itself, and it would be like a boss level Grim because, like I said, it creates raptors that will come after you that will be very fast, and the closer you get to it, the more your aura will deplete. I mean, that would be an insane T-Rex. I'm saying it right now, if Rooster Teeth tries to steal that idea from me, I will be livid seeing that, they're so low that they'll steal art from somebody else and put it in a comic, but I'm just saying. Just throwing that out there. But if anybody knows of a T-Rex Grim, if it ever comes into Ruby, you'll know where the idea came from. Have you ever seen The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise? If so, then what are your thoughts on it? I haven't, but that is a movie that I have had on my list to watch. But no, I have not watched it. Although Tom Cruise, good actor, crazy person in real life, though. Just, he's crazy in real life. Out of all the songs that Weiss has in Ruby, which one would be your favorite and why? For me, it would have to be between The Path of Isolation or Mirror Mirror Part 2. For Weiss, I would say It's My Turn. That song is excellent, and I really love that song. I think that song's great. What do you think Remnant was like before the Great War? Do you think it was like feudal Japan or Europe? And how do you think the people then dealt with the Grimm before huntsmen and huntresses? So, we do know that the kingdoms existed before then, And they did train warriors. So I would say it was still very similar, but I would say that, obviously they would be not as advanced in technology. So I would say it was probably kind of like the times of Europe with kingdoms, is what I would have to say. If we were to say what time period it would seem like, I would say it would be like the European time period with the kingdoms. But then again, that's just my thoughts, considering they've never really expanded much on it other than kind of just bring that up a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much what I would think. And how do you think the people then dealt with Grimm? Well, they were warriors. I would say they probably knew what aura was because, when you think about it, they were fighting with them back then, and the Faunus and the humans, because we do know because of the Faunus Rise Revolution, we do know that the Faunus and humans fought together against the Grimm. So I'd say it was very similar to Huntsmen and Huntresses at that time, because we do know they used weapons and we do know they took them on. So that's the way that they fought as warriors. So I would say it was still kind of like Huntsmen back then. But yeah, that's pretty much how I see it. So, next question. What poems from Robert Frost would you say fits very well with each of the main four characters from RWBY? So, if I had to say that any poems really fit any characters, I would have to go with Home Burial, I think, would fit Blake. I feel that Bond and Free would fit Weiss. Wind and Window Flower would be Yang, I think. And then Waiting a Field at Dusk would be Ruby. But, that's just my personal thoughts. What weapon from Halo would you say is your favorite? For me, it's between the Energy Sword or the SMG. My favorite is between, even though I didn't really care for Halo 4, I didn't like it, I did like the Incineration Cannon in that game. I also did like Linda's Sniper in Halo 5, even though I didn't really care much for that game either. And then I do love the Energy Sword. Those are probably my three favorites. Have you read the Forerunner trilogy for Halo by Greg Bear? If so, then which part would be your favorite? For me, it's between Cryptum or Primordium. I have not actually, but I have read some different things. But when it comes to Halo, like the Fall of Reach, I also read The Flood, The Ghost of Onyx. So I've read a few books. I was really more into Halo back before Halo 4 happened, and then Halo 4 kind of made a dive downward for me. But I mean, I still like Halo, but just not as much as I used to. But yeah, no, I haven't read all the books, but yeah, I should if I get the chance, whenever I do. So whenever I get the chance and I can find more, yeah, I'll definitely read them. If the Flood from Halo got into the RWBY universe, do you think that it would consume Remnant in one fell swoop, or would the Huntsmen and Huntresses be able to put a good fight against it? They'd put a good fight up against it, I bet, but I think they'd just die in the end. I mean, ultimately, I think it would come down to them just winning because it's the Flood, and they're parasitic, and I think that of course it'd take a few of them to get through the aura of the characters that have aura, like, well, have their aura unlocked. But yeah, I think the Flood would probably win ultimately. Have you ever read Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert A. Heinlein? If so, then what are your thoughts on it? No, I never have. I should though, and I'll give it a shot though. I'll try to check it out sometime when I get the chance, and I'll let you know what I think. Have you ever watched the amazing horror film Alien? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Since it will be near Halloween by the time this question, I thought I might as well ask. Haha. Yeah, I actually have seen Alien. Alien was good. I mean, xenomorphs. Yeah, you want to kill those things with fire. Kill it with fire. That's the best thing I could really say is just kill that thing with fire. This last question may be quite deep and a bit sad to think about, but I just want to let it out. Since Rooster Teeth is now hanging on by such a thin thread because of so many mistakes and bad decisions they have made these past few years, with a high chance that the once great community, okay, base company might just die and be absorbed altogether soon. I can't help but wonder, do you think that if in some perfect world in which Monty never died, would have Rooster Teeth never fallen so much and become the very faceless and politically invested corporation they say they aren't? And for that matter, would RWBY never have fallen into the utter wreck that it has become now? or would have Rooster Teeth still had fallen and Monty would have been forced to either conform or get fired altogether? Well, Monty had plans of actually taking Ruby back and actually doing it within a studio he owned in California. So he did eventually plan to take it away from Rooster Teeth because it was his creation and he actually wanted to work on it on his own. So he was eventually going to step away. And the thing is, I think Rooster Teeth still would have fell into the political mess they're in. It's just Ruby wouldn't be a part of what they are. But then again, at that point, Rooster Teeth would have probably crumbled a lot sooner than they have now. So in an alternate timeline, yeah, I think it would have been different. I don't think Rooster Teeth would have even been a company had things been differently at this point in time. So really, Ruby is what kept them going for the most part, I'd say. I mean, yeah, they had Red versus Blue, they had Nomad, they had a few other shows, but Ruby was the flagship. It's the big piece to the component to Rooster Teeth. So I feel like everything would have probably just crumbled a lot sooner, realistically, because either way, Rooster Teeth had this ideology for a long time. So yeah, I would say they would have crumbled a long time ago. I think it would have been a lot sooner, personally. So Inigo asked, to be fair, superhero comics are getting needlessly political, whereas manga simply doesn't give a... Right. Q&A. What are your thoughts on plot twist? What do you think makes a bad plot twist? And what do you think makes a good one? Okay, so good and bad plot twist. When it comes to making plot twists, you have to really build up certain things, but, whenever you build it up subtly, and then, of course, you direct it at something that would seem like that could be the answer to what the twist could be in the plot. For example, like, one character could seem like the villain of the plot. That one character, you could think, oh, well, they're evil, they're terrible, they've been a monster the whole time, they're the villain, right? So say they build it up like this character is the big bad villain the whole time. All right. And then they throw a plot twist at you that, oh no, the side that you've been fighting is the whole time is the good guys. That could be a good plot twist because they build it up so hard that everybody that could be following the person that would seem like they're evil but turns out to be good, they're actually doing it for good reasons, but it makes them all out to look like they're the villains, which could be interesting. Like their ideology, or at least the way that they go about it, would make you think, oh, well, they're villains, or they're doing things in ways that wouldn't be right. That would be interesting because, like, if they're doing things immorally to try to morally save everyone, that's an interesting kind of plot twist, for example. Now, let's say you have the plot twist in Ruby. I'm going to give you a good example of a bad one. You set up Ozpin to be what may be this bad guy later on, and then you plot twist it to where, oh no, he's not a bad guy as in villain, he's just a bad guy in terms of he doesn't understand relationships. And it's like, really? They built him up, making you think Ozpin may be the villain. And then they drop the ball. They drop the ball so hard, it's ridiculous. Like, I hated that. It made me so mad with that backstory. Because the only thing they really made him look bad at is, oh, look, he didn't know how to handle a relationship. Ugh. Like he didn't know how to juggle. Like, it was just, that was a terrible plot twist. Just absolutely awful. Now, had they have it to where, like, Salem was a good guy the whole time, and then everybody following her knows what she's doing is good, and they all seem like they're villains when they're actually good, that would have been an excellent plot twist. And then Ozpin actually be the real villain, that would have been an excellent plot twist. But no, not at all. That's not the situation. I thought that was a bad plot twist, for example. Leading something on, and then it just, oh look, we're going to twist it to where he looks like the bad guy, or she looks like the bad guy, the character looks like they're the bad guy, when oh no, they were just good the whole time. We were just, egging you on. And it's like, really? That's a terrible plot twist, for example. Or in Naruto, the whole Kaguya thing and how Zetsu was the villain the whole time. He was the mastermind. I honestly didn't care for that. I mean, Madara should have been the final villain. That's prime example also. Oh man, I don't even get me started on the ending to Naruto. Like, there were just so many problems with that final arc. I could go on about that forever. But yeah, point being, there are plot twists that could be done better. Like Rave's plot twist. I cannot praise Rave enough for the excellent plot twist. I loved it. That's a way of doing a plot twist right. I'm not going to spoil it for people, but that's a way of doing it. That's a way of making a good plot twist. Inigo goes on to ask another question. They're making volumes 8 9. Yeah, right. Let's be honest here. They're going bankrupt before they have the chance. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, I ended up subbing to Reaper Cypher. He definitely puts a lot of effort and attention into his videos and deserves the numbers. Yes, he does. He does a very good job. If anybody watching this has not subscribed to him, I recommend you do. He is great at what he does. Definitely recommend it. Q&A. Have you ever played Undertale? No, I haven't, sadly, but I did watch Etika do a playthrough of Undertale when he live streamed it several years ago. So there was that. That was a fun live stream. But I don't really have much thoughts on it because I haven't played it myself. It's been a while. Like I said, it was when Etika was streaming, when he was still alive. So yeah, rest in peace to Etika. But that was a good stream for certain. Definitely a good stream, and it made me really want to play Undertale. So no, I haven't. If yes, then which routes have you completed, if any? Yeah, like I said, I haven't. Sorry, but I definitely love to. If not, then you should add it to your already very long yet ever expanding things to do checklist. Yep, yeah, that's what I need to do. I really do. You're not wrong. Oh, because there's a lot of things I gotta do. If only I could just have all the time in the world. If only they're that easy. But I'll find the time. I'll find the time. Hopefully sometime soon. Inigo also asks, they cannot afford to lose animators. They are bleeding manpower, and it's going to show. Yeah, that is true. Q&A, have you seen Hellsing Ultimate Abridged? Absolutely love it. Have you heard the sensation that's sweeping the nation? Bitches love cannons. I love it. Oh, Hellsing Ultimate Abridged is so good. I really do love it. And SAO Abridged, yes, I have actually seen that as well. I haven't caught up with it though, but yes, I have seen SAO Abridged, and I do think it's pretty good. I need to catch up with it though. But Hellsing Ultimate, yeah, I loved it. I watch over every year, like once every year, I watch it over again, and I love it. Team 4 Star is great. I really enjoy what they do. They do a great job. So the next question is Bubonic. Bubonic said, "Here's a question for your end of the month Q&A. What creature from mythology would you like to see as a Grimm?" Ooh, what I like to see as a Grimm? I would like to see a Banshee. I would like to see a Banshee that what it could do is it could literally suck the aura out of somebody. It screams and wails, which could actually, whenever it screams, people will be frozen. They can't move, and then it just comes up to them and starts sucking the aura out of them. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be really cool. And then they could have like sharp claws for nails. I think that would be kind of awesome. That's the kind of Grimm I'd like to also see. That would be really great. And the next question is from Kennard Lang, and Kennard asks, for the October Q&A, since it's Halloween, what do you think would be the scariest Grimm to encounter? I would say either the Nukulave or the Wyvern. Those would probably be, between the two, I would say would be the scariest. Also, if each character was a candy, what would they be? I think Cinder would be hot tamales. That's pretty funny. I was going to say that I think that Cinder would be like a red hot habanero. That's not a candy. But yeah, hot tamales. They work. If I had to say characters and what candies they would be, I think it's pretty clearly obvious. Ruby would be something with chocolate or a cookie. I think that's what Ruby would be. Weiss would probably be a sweetheart because she's a sweetheart. Get it? I'm awful. Okay, so what would Blake and Yang be? Huh. That's an interesting thought. I think Yang would be a Laffy Taffy because you'd have some terrible pun on the rapper. I think that would be Yang. I think she'd be a Laffy Taffy just because of the fact of the terrible puns. Blake, what would Blake be? That's a good question. Huh. I'm not really sure. Maybe she'd be like Fudge, I guess. I don't know. That's just a thought, maybe. Or an Oreo. She might be an Oreo. That might work. I feel like Nora would be a sugar cube. Just purely sugar. That's what I feel like Nora would be. I feel like she would be a sugar cube. Rin. Now, what would Lyrin be? Well, that's interesting. You know, he might be one of those. He might be like one of those little white chocolate cakes. Like they're not actual chocolate cakes, but like they're like little square white cakes. I think he'd be one of those. Para would probably be a starburst. That's what Para would be. I think she would be a starburst. And then Jean would be like one of those really, really salty, lemony suckers. I think that's what he'd be. I think he'd be one of those kind of things. I think that Neo would be milk chocolate. I feel like that would work for Neo. I think Neo would be milk chocolate. I feel like Mercury would probably be a jawbreaker. So I think Mercury would be. Emerald. What would Emerald be? Oh man, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. That's a tough one. What would Emerald be? Would she be like a mint? I guess she'd be a mint. Yeah, I guess that would work for Emerald. She'd be a mint. I feel like Raven and Crow, I feel like they would both be like chocolate ravens. Like if they actually made a raven made of chocolate, I feel like that's what they'd be. I feel like they would be chocolate ravens. I think that'd work for them. That would be kind of cool. Maybe one could be milk chocolate, the other one could be just like regular chocolate. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool, actually. I could see that. It'd be interesting. It'd be able to tell the difference between the two of them. I think that'd be kind of cool. And I think that would work. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. What other candy would characters be? What other candy would other people be? I guess Sun could maybe be bubble gum. That would kind of work, because he does whenever he becomes friends with somebody, he attaches onto them. And I mean, not in a bad way. Like he's a cool guy. I feel like he would be bubblegum. That'd be cool. What would Adam be? Oh man, that's a good one. What would Adam be? Oh, I don't know. Red velvet food cake? Would that be Adam? I think that'd be Adam. That would be kind of cool. Oh, that would actually be really cool. Yeah, Adam red velvet food cake. Yeah, that works. That sounds awesome, actually. Yeah, that sounds awesome. That works for Adam. Yes, I gotta go with that. Salem would be like those Russell Stover chocolates. I think that's what Salem would be, except for they would probably sit out and just open air for a while and then start to look like Salem. No, but yeah, I could see Salem being Russell Stover chocolates. I can see that working. Seems like it would be her kind of taste. She seems like she'd be an expensive person, wanting expensive chocolates. But anyways, that's all for the questions for this month. Leave your comments down below on what questions you want me to answer for next month. And have a happy Halloween, everybody. And I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.